Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm talking. Does my breath smell? Does it smell bad? Does it smell bad? Do you want to say hi, everybody? Hey, everybody. Welcome to my special podcast episode. All right. Aw, I got lipstick on you, bro. I'm sorry. All right. You went down? I think I might just have to have him for every episode start, you know? Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode of Perty Nerdy After Hours. I am Amber M. Davies. I am your kind of trying to be cozy host, but I just have like massive energy today. Lots of coffee, went on a walk. Wow, something's going on with my hair today. That's lovely. All right. Hey everyone, thank you for joining. Did you like the new intro? Did you catch the new intro? Did you get the funky vibes going on? I love disco. I love funk. I love all music, right? It's very eclectic, my choices. But there's something about like the funky beat and disco that just kind of gives me energy and kind of matches the vibe, I think, of the podcast aesthetics, the brick wall with the neon. All right, I have a lot to cover today, and I'm going to really try to keep it down to 1 hour. I am learning how to streamline this. So, let's start with what's lighting my bulb. You kind of like it too. I figured you would, geeky. Kind of your vibe too. All right, so what's lighting my bulb? I want to start off with, if you haven't seen the news go around already, the layoffs that have happened at Paizo this week. When you hear large companies, and relatively speaking, I mean, Paizo can be considered a large company, but I mean, really, we're talking about like 100 plus staff members. We're not talking like United Healthcare or something massive and global, right? But when you hear large companies and the talk of layoffs, where does your mind go, right? It's usually, you start thinking, why are there layoffs? Because the company is being greedy, because they're worried about the bottom dollar, because they have short-sighted business practices. The sympathy, there's usually never any sympathy for the company that is doing the layoffs. Paizo just laid off 12 members of their staff, and that doesn't sound a lot, right? But when you think about the size of their workforce, that's 12% of their workforce. And on average, let's just say, like most corporations, when they do, layoffs are like, I don't know, a part of business. Like everyone who works in a company will usually experience or hear of someone being laid off. It's a normal business practice. They do it practically yearly. So most corporations, I looked this up, conservatively, the average amount of workforce that gets laid off when they do layoffs is 10 to 20%. So a 12% workforce layoff is, fairly in line. And at the very least, you can consider that is the lower end of the average, which is respectable, right? If a company is like, if they're communicating, we really don't want to do this, but we have to, the fact that they erred on the side of conservative is nice. So let's talk about Paizo a little bit. They are based out of Washington. They are best known for Pathfinder, if you do not know who they are. They are best known for Pathfinder and Starfinder, which is their TTRPG and their solution to D&D. They have dedicated fan bases, and if you're looking at TTRPGs as a whole, they are number 2. Number 1 is WotC's or Hasbro's D&D, and I think let me see. So D&D has like 32% market share of TTRPG space. Paizo has 12% of the market at number 2. So here's the story. Now that you kind of have an idea of who Paizo is, their size relative to all of this, Paizo has $10 million worth in inventory stuck in a warehouse somewhere because their distributor, Diamond Comics, mismanaged everything essentially, forcing Paizo to lay off some staff. All right, so let's dig into this a little bit. I will provide the link. Actually, I'll go ahead and provide the link in the chat, and then I will provide the link in the episode notes. I still haven't figured out what I'm calling it. You know, I think some podcasters are like, it's the doobly-doo. I think that's what Matt Colville does. I'm going to put it in the doobly-doo. All right, so there's the link. Diamond Comics filed for bankruptcy in July 2025. I want you to kind of start, like, as I go through this timeline, we're going to touch back on some of this because having written with Paizo, and my writing was submitted to them in January of 2025, I actually kind of had these little moments of experience where I was like, I wonder what's going on there. And now I know. It's just taken a year and a half to see the light of day. So Diamond Comics filed for bankruptcy in July 2025. And here's the unbelievable part. They liquidated all the stock that they were holding. I don't want to say all. I hate using extreme words, but they liquidated the stock to pay off their creditors. What? Like, that's not even your stock. You're holding it. You didn't pay for it. The people who paid for it now, like, they paid for that product. You're holding the product, and then you sell that product to pay off your creditors. Unreal. So Paizo lays the blame for these layoffs squarely at Diamond Comics and JP Morgan Chase, essentially, because that's where the creditors come in, at their feet. So here's a quote. JP Morgan Chase claimed a lien on all products stored in Diamond's warehouse, including nearly $10 million in Paizo inventory. We cannot currently access this inventory pending ongoing litigation. This is a quote from the story that I linked to you. Diamond's exclusive contract prevented us from immediately moving to a new distributor, even after they stopped selling our books. A judge terminated that contract earlier this year, but Diamond has appealed, delaying resolution. Let me break that down for you a little bit, okay? Diamond's exclusive contract prevented us from immediately moving to a new distributor. Like, you're in contract as a distributor, and then you stop distributing, and somewhere in that contract, I mean, just crazy. But, you know, there's loopholes and things, but somewhere in that contract, it prevented Paizo from saying, well, if you're not going to distribute our books, we're going to find someone else. They couldn't do that. Wow. All right. Then a judge terminated that contract so that Paizo could go and find another distributor. And Diamond appealed, delaying the resolution. I tried researching, like, what would be the motivation for Diamond to appeal this? Like, at this point in the game, you have gone bankrupt. You have no other stakes. I guess the stakes would be if they, I don't know. Someone who maybe has better brain power than I do. Tell me what you think of that sentence, because I don't understand why Diamond would just, they're at fault, and they know they're at fault. And they screwed over Paizo, and instead of letting Paizo go find another distributor, they were like, nah, man. Nah, bro, can't do it right now. Nope. And I don't know how that helps Diamond at all. Like, they've already sold the stock. They've already tried to pay off their lien or their, people that they owe money to. What good does it do them to stop Paizo from finding another distributor? Like, do they think they're going to get back into business? I'm shocked. Another quote. The result has been devastating. Paizo lost nearly $2 million last year, had to write off nearly $500,000 in additional sales covered by the bankruptcy, and book trade sales remain far below historical levels. While sales through Paizo.com and hobby retailers have grown, positive note, put a pin in that, While that has grown over the same period, they have not been sufficient to offset those losses. So let's kind of go back to the timeline again. I wrote for Paizo January 2025, turned that in February 2025. By July, I do remember seeing a notification that felt very sudden to me that there was going to be a shift in Paizo. They were basically overhauling Paizo's website, Paizo's store. The store was going to be unavailable for like a month. They were reworking everything. And everybody, please come check out the new store. And I remember thinking, wow, that feels like out of left field and also very sudden. Like there was nothing leading up to it. There didn't seem to be any complaints about Paizo's website. If anything, Paizo is extremely generous. Like if you think about it, being the second in the TTRPG industry, you can access all of Pathfinder 2e's rules, monsters, everything online for free. They don't charge you for it. I mean, you don't have the physical book or anything like that. You're beholden to the format of their website, but they give it all to you for free. So there was never any complaint that their website needed any work. So the fact that July, all of a sudden, I remember there being this shift of, we got to upgrade the store. Everything's going to be taken down. Be prepared. Push the new store when it comes out. I remember that. It was just wild. So now that has an answer in my brain. There was also that kind of question when I wrote and submitted. I mean, it was my first time writing for Paizo, my first time writing for any major TTRPG company. I had some feedback from other people who have written for companies like Paizo saying that it can take a long time. Sometimes it can take up to a year, up to 2 years. Be patient. But knowing that and experiencing that is something a little different. I mean, as a writer and you're so excited to get your stuff out into the world, and it's not like they're communicating to you weekly and like, you know, unruffling your furs and telling you like, it's going to be okay. Like they don't tell you that. There's just no communication. And then you feel weird, like reaching out going, hi, so is there an update on the publishing date? Like, is there an update? Like they don't, you don't want to be that person to keep bugging them and asking them. So by July, I remember reaching out and saying like, hey, just curious, what's the timeline on this? And I was only going to send that one message and that was it. I did hear back and they said something to the effect of, we'll probably make an announcement in December. So just hang tight. So that was almost one full year. I wrote, submitted January, February. By December, they would make an announcement. And once the announcement was made, I still couldn't talk about what I did exactly. I could only say, hey, I'm attached to the project. So December comes rolling around and I'm like waiting and waiting. I'm so excited. I can't wait to finally share. Like this is my first real TTRPG writing credit. And December like was nearly done. I can't remember the exact date, but it was like, I remember already thinking that we're like hitting New Year and I hadn't seen anything yet. I'm moving this because I feel like y'all are just very close. But eventually, I think officially they made the announcement like right before the end of the year. So it felt like a little bit of a delay. I kind of feel like I had been communicated to that maybe there would be an announcement in July, and then it wasn't until December. And I don't know. Here we are a year and a half later. But I mean, if anything, now knowing this, I am grateful that it is still going to be published. Like that we're not going to be delayed while this litigation is going on because, I mean, selfishly, I'm excited. It's my writing in there. I can't wait, for it to be out in the world. But it's nice to know that they have some things in the pipelines because with COVID, COVID was such a weird time for TTRPG. There's so much growth. And then, small businesses are shutting down everywhere. It's just a weird time. And then with the tariffs, there's just a lot of people that are coming and going, and only the strong remain. And even though Paizo is number 2, we're talking about, what did I say, 12% of the market share. So they're strong, but can they withstand like punch after punch after punch, tariffs and now this and who knows what else is coming next. It I'm so grateful that they're still in the race. And let's talk about some good stuff. All right. Well, sorry. I don't know if you heard that. I just accidentally bumped the mic. Let's talk about before I get to the good stuff, because I want to end on a good note. Talking about the timeline and the things that I'm experiencing where I was like, this is funny, interesting. Well, earlier this week, I want to say it was Monday, but don't quote me. James Bullman, who is he's a game designer. He is the director of the games at Paizo and creator of Pathfinder. So there was kind of to me, it felt like a little bit of a vague post. I do tend to follow a lot of what's going on in the industry because, I mean, A, I'm interested. B, I think my mind likes to try to predict trends and kind of, I don't know, to see if my predictions land where I think they will. I don't know. It's just a little interesting exercise to me. So I follow a lot of these little channels, and I saw this post by James Bullman. I'm not going to quote the entire thing, but essentially he was saying, man, it was a really rough day. And, as vague posts do, you get comments. I was going through them a little bit yesterday on my writing sprint stream. So some folks got to see it. But, there were a few people responding like, you okay, bro? Everything okay? So that immediately intrigued me. And that had happened the day before the official announcement, which I think came Tuesday. Losing a bunch of colleagues, is the last thing you want to do. That was kind of the heart of the message. It was a bad day. And then he said, I'll have some thoughts when I'm back. I can't remember if he was traveling or not. But that he's going to be boosting all these folks to help them find new homes. Okay, so I don't know. My first thought once I saw the official news go down was like, okay, I mean, yes, vague posting tends to be seen in the light of attention seeking. But in this case, again, you kind of have to recontextualize once the order of things falls down, right? Because of the light that people see corporations when layoffs happen, obviously he would want to get ahead of that, especially if he's going to be traveling when I don't know if he's traveling, but if he's not going to be available when the official post comes out, he wants to get ahead of it and let people know, like, hey, I am here with you, man, in the heartache. I'm as upset as you are. This is not our fault. I don't know. So I'm not upset about the vague posting. I found it to be interesting, and I'm glad that I was able to kind of piece together the answers. What I loved about this, once the news came out, people came back to that post, and there was one particular person that said, how can we as consumers be best supporting Paizo during this rough patch? And I have to commend James Bullman for his answer. He said, the first thing you can do is to support the personal endeavors of those we've been forced to let go. So again, there's that sense of, we really want to take care of these people. If we could help it, we would not have laid these people off. And then the second thing he said was, after that, the best way to help us at Paizo is to buy directly from us through Paizo.com and ongoing subscriptions. Those give us the best return and help us the most with long-term planning. So for those of you asking how best to support Paizo during this time, that's what they are requesting. And I wholeheartedly love that response. There was also another comment. So here's the thing. When I present this stuff, I really, yes, I'm going to have my own opinions, and my responses and my comments, you may be able to gauge where I'm at, by what I'm saying. And those are my opinions. But I always want to try to present all sides or both sides, however many sides there are, because I don't ever want to present it as like, this is bad. Anyway, I just want to put that out there. So somebody else made a comment that if people go to paizo.com to help support, buy direct, all those things, that also hurts local game shops, right? In our community, one of the big things that we like to push is to support your local friendly gaming store, because otherwise they go out of business. I mean, yes, you can buy a lot of these things on Amazon, but does that help our local gaming stores? No. You want to try to go there and buy from them and support them. And there is this kind of culture in our community for that. But if those local gaming stores can't get Paizo books because there's no distributor, then I can't, I don't know. I guess as I'm talking this out loud, I feel like, what's one direct, I keep bumping into this microphone, I'm so sorry. What's one direct sale gonna do? Like, is it really gonna hurt your local gaming store? I don't know, but just something to think about, as you decide like how best you want to proceed with your, Paizo gaming stuff. I am so well spoken. So, like I said, while I normally wouldn't, people I think in general wouldn't normally sympathize with a corporation or a company that has done the layoffs, I think comparatively Paizo has done a pretty good job. Like I said, all those rules are free except for like pre-written campaigns and modules. Your monsters, your classes, your magic items, all free. They're not like Wizards of the Coast sending ominous letters against unionizing. Like they're not treating their people badly. If anything, Paizo, when they did the layoffs, they worked with their union to provide decent terms. 18-month recall period. Like they're trying to support these people as best as they can, and you can see it. You can also see it in the quote from, I'm going to mispronounce this and I'm really sorry, Avi Henriquez? Okay, I'm so sorry. Avi Henriquez, lead editor, writes on Blue Sky. This is someone who was affected by the layoff. I appreciate everyone who has been rightfully not blaming Paizo as a company for this turn of events. It is very, very difficult to wrap our heads around the fact that we have worked hard and at such a high level for years, only to be punished by situations that we had absolutely no control over. So you're even seeing this from the folks who have been laid off. And that's just one quote. There were many from the people who have been affected by this who say, thank you for not blaming Paizo. We understand it is not their fault. Please, don't go on a witch hunt. So if they're saying that, hi, TR Nickel. If they are saying that, then I feel very confident. I mean, if there's any best case scenario of having layoffs in a company like Paizo, I feel like they have done a really good job tackling it. I can't say enough good things about it. If there's going to be a good ending to this, and for all intents and purposes, the new Paizo store is great. It works fantastic. Everybody is lauding it. They love it. So if you do not have a Paizo account, go over there, check it out, go support Paizo, help them recover from this because this sucks. And before you do that, go find those other folks who were affected by the layoffs and go support them. If I can find a list or some, I mean, that feels kind of like doxing, right? But if I can find a list of the people who were affected that you can go help support, I will try to share that. I will do that. All right. So much to cover. Let me go through the chat just to make sure I haven't missed anything. Diamond Hurt comic book stores and game stores. I've seen the owners freak out, especially pre-sales. Yeah. Hey, I'm so happy to have some folks in the chat. Thank you for joining. All right. So what's next for Paizo? They've partnered with Independent Publishers Group to rebuild their book trade presence. So sales are still recovering, but they are in a better position than they were in 2025. So, I mean, like I said, I was there for 2025. I thought things were moving slowly, but I had no context. So if that's the case, then let's hope for some more stuff, some more Paizo stuff coming in 2026. And well, I mean, we're halfway through 2026. 2027. I love seeing you live. Thank you. Oh man. All right, let's see. I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, I also have Paizo's official statement, which I'm not going to read to you. It's long and lengthy, but also just you can hear the support from Paizo directly. So I will share that link as well in my doobly-doo liner notes thing-a-thing, Bob. I'm going to come up with a name for that. All right. State of the Nerd. I'm going to keep it short because we have some other really fun stuff at the end. So State of the Nerd. I went through my accountability last week, and I feel like I got so much done last week. This week, I'm having a little bit of a, like, playing catch up because my son graduated, life happened. I'm waiting for, oh, I'm getting hot talking about myself. I feel like I'm still waiting for the extra time that you're supposed to get when you're an empty nester. Still waiting for it. Right now, it just feels like I'm playing catch up. So let's hope that it's not just a myth. So I completed my PDF magic item, the Tooth Mother's Ladle. It is a spoon made of teeth. It is a cursed item, depending on how you see curses. And every Tooth Mother's Ladle is unique. So I wrote that up. I'm getting ready to publish it. I just have to wait because I have to align with Fantastical Geographic and their publishing of the Explorer's Pack for everything. So for those of you who are new here, I'll just quickly go over what Fantastical Geographic is. It is a webzine that is loosely modeled on National Geographic, but it's for your fantasy worlds. So everything contained in the webzine is supposed to be system agnostic and can be used to help inspire magic items, stores, NPCs, all kinds of stuff, job postings, adventures, and then outside of the webzine, there is an Explorer's Pack that you can purchase, which aligns with the webzine, provides STL files, art, PDFs, adventures. I'm trying to think, what else was there? Music, immersion music for your game, all kinds of stuff that you can get alongside the webzine. So for those who contribute to the webzine, I am able to publish on my own and sell on my own the things that I create for it. But you can also get it and all the other creators' stuff in the webzine and the pack. So I hope that kind of explains exactly what that is. Next up on State of the Nerd, I have submitted my events for Philly. I have a hard time saying it. It's not Philadelphia, right? It's not Philadelphia Gaming Expo. Is it Philly Gaming Expo? Maybe those of you who have been. I'm sure you, TR Nickel, have been. I think I saw you as a special guest. Is it Philly Gaming Expo? Is it Philadelphia Gaming Expo? Yeah, Paige. So I submitted my events yesterday and the organizer reached out. The announcement still hasn't been made officially, but I will be, this is the announcement for this, I will be on their live stream next Friday, which is the 19th. So be on the lookout for that, Bolo, for that. Very excited to be on the live stream. I got to go check a few out and see what we're talking about because I like to be prepared. Since we were talking about Pathfinder, Lost Omens High Seas releases July 1st. I'm so excited for it to be out. So also Bolo on that. And then I completed my Farm to Table Frenzy map for accessibility. So I am, as we speak, scheduling playtesting for next week. I'm curious, and maybe this is not necessarily a community topic, but I would love to hear in the chat. When it comes to playtesting games that you are not necessarily finished with yet, do you stream those live? Because there's a part of me that's like, well, this isn't done yet. There could be so much like feedback or backlash or, this looks horrible, and like kind of setting this expectation that the thing you're going to put out, I mean, it's just not in a finished state yet. So I don't want people to look at it and go, yeah, I'm not going to buy that when that comes out. That looks horrible, right? It's still in playtest mode. So I kind of want to like live stream it or record it and share it, but I also kind of don't. So I'm still thinking about maybe it's not ready yet. Maybe it's not ready for that. And then I also finished my updates for my horror short story that I got to send in to the publisher. I emailed them yesterday just to make sure we're still good with time, because I would like to get reader feedback. I made a lot of changes, more than I thought I was going to make, because I wanted to clean up the timeline. I wanted to clean up any confusion points so that it was very clear. You know what else I didn't do, though? I just forgot to tell him that I am over word count. I am over word count. But hopefully they don't hold it against me. I think it's only like 150 words over. In the light of everything, I think it's going to be fine. We'll see. So that is my state of the nerd. Short and sweet. I have had some things done. I am now just in a mode. Part of it is, like, I started this stream. I started this podcast. There's a lot of maintenance involved with that. And also, like, just social media posting and shorts and things like that. And while I have programs in place that will kind of help me, like, schedule them and streamline the process, I haven't figured out my processes for when do I do that? Do I have a day where I just do social media planning and posting and scheduling? When do I create thumbnails? After I've streamed, before I've streamed? Like, I kind of have to work through my own processes and find a way to be more productive when it comes to that, because I tend to stall. That's not where my love is. Creating thumbnails is not my favorite thing. But we got to do it, right? If we're going to be online, we got to do it. So I think that's where a lot of this like extra time is going, is I have extra time, but then I don't, because I have to figure out the rest of my processes. So more to come on that. And let me just check the chat real quick. Paige, yeah. Oh no, not live. Keep it just to play test. Try to grab your amazing stuff. Yeah. People try to grab your, yeah. I mean, I have heard that. I have also heard, like, in the creator space, well, maybe it's different when we say creators versus, like, tabletop, because I do feel like the folks in tabletop, I have yet to come across anybody who has stolen anything or, like, stolen an idea before I could get to it, kind of a thing. I feel more supported there than if I just say creator. So maybe you're right. Like, putting it out on the internet kind of exposes it to a wider range of other types of creatives. Yeah, social media management is not for the faint of heart. All right, let's get to Hoc Hooey. I'm very excited about this. Hoc Hooey has been a little bit different every single time that I do it. But I really wanted to get to the heart of, like, a real Hoc Hooey. And the first time I did it, I was not prepared. So this time I have created roll tables for myself so that we don't have to worry about chat coming up with things on the fly. You know, you kind of feel pressured to, like, create something right now. But I have roll tables. So for my Hoc Hooey, Hoc Hooey, I just love saying it. For my Hoc Hooey, we came up with 6 settings. I'm going to roll for it right now. So the setting could be an amusement park, a bank, a circus, a desert, a dessert, or a flower shop. So I'm going to roll right now. And I am using, because it is Pride Month, my Rainbow D6. Okay, here we go. The setting is a bank. All right, interesting. You know what's funny? In D&D worlds, that sounds weird to say. But in the games I've played in, we've never had a bank. I didn't really come across a bank until I started playing Witcher, and I was like, oh, there are banks in these types of worlds. So funny. Anyway, so think bank. The setting is a bank. Now we have plots. Here are the options for plots. Bug invasion. The air is leaving us. Like what was the movie again? Oh no, my brain. Oh, nope. The Star Wars one that's not Star Wars. Someone help me. Someone help me. With anyway, the air is leaving. There's no more air. Long lost heir must return to save the world from evil. Using technology to infiltrate other societies or another society to take or save their lands. No, not alien. Spaceballs! Thank you. I just don't know why it left my brain. The air is leaving like Spaceballs. I gotta start again. Bug invasion. Air is leaving. Long lost heir must return to save the world from evil. Using technology to infiltrate another society to take or save their lands. Don't read the Necronomicon because someone already did. Someone just did it. Something is happening. Or there's a mysterious leader imprisoned and a new leader arises seemingly out of nowhere. All right, so let's roll for this. Yeah, air sucks. All right, number 6. Okay, mysterious leader is imprisoned and a new leader arises seemingly out of nowhere. So we have a bank. We have a mysterious leader who is imprisoned and a new leader arises seemingly out of nowhere. All right, let's talk about an encounter. All right, so here's what I did. In this order, I doubled them up. So we have combat, number 1. A chase or social encounter, number 2. Number 3 is puzzles or traps. Number 4 is social or chase again. Number 5 is combat. Number 6 is puzzle and traps. So each one has 2 chances of hitting. Let's roll. Oh, that fell off my desk. Number 5. Okay, so we have a combat. Okay. All right, so let's start with those 3. Here's ad hoc hooey. The way that I do this when I do them at workshops, when I talk about how to create an adventure in under 30 minutes. Normally I don't do it with roll tables. Usually I do it with like audience participation and ideas, but here we go. So we have a setting, which is a bank. The bank, is it like a medieval fantasy bank? Is it a sci-fi bank, post-apocalyptic bank? Ooh, that sounds kind of interesting. Post-apocalyptic world. What would be the bank? Like, it would be a bank of like rat bodies. Like, what's currency in a post-apocalyptic world? We've seen that in so many different movies, like the different things that they use. Bottle caps. Is there a bank of bottle caps? That's interesting. Yes. Let's see. A bank of, in a post-apocalyptic world, toilet paper. Somehow toilet paper has survived, but it's pretty rare. I kind of like, let's stick with rat bodies. Unless I hear from anybody else in the chat, I feel like rat bodies we can do a lot with. All right, bank of rat bodies. I mean, that's really interesting now that I think about it, because how well can you keep a rat body from, like, we're going to get gross here, but like rotting? So either it's got some really quick turnover, or they have a way to preserve these rat bodies longer, because that way they can hold their stock for trading or for whatever. So that's really interesting. I love that. Oh, I forgot that you have baby rats. Rodent. Let's just say rodent. That could be a lot of things. All right. So frozen rodent bank, or somehow preserved rodent bank. This could even be like a magical. Are we in a post-apocalyptic magical world? Let me think about that. All right. So bank. And now we have a mysterious leader who is imprisoned, and a new leader arises seemingly out of nowhere. So if we're talking about a bank, immediately I go to, well, the, owner or president or whatever you want to call of the bank, the head person of the bank, they got caught embezzling rodents. Is that too on the nose? Maybe this mysterious leader is not part of the bank at all. Maybe the mysterious leader has an investment in the bank. Like they have, what am I thinking of? Like a cache of rodents that they were going to put in the bank. and then they got imprisoned for some reason. Hold on, I'm going to put myself on Do Not Disturb because I realized I didn't do that already. All right. Mysterious leader is imprisoned. Why were they imprisoned? And then, when I came up with this idea, I was kind of thinking about these documentaries that I'd seen recently on the LDS, and I can't remember the name of the individual, but the leader of their religion was imprisoned, was still trying to kind of like control everything from prison. And in the midst of that disruption, another dude basically came up and was like, no, but I'm the prophet. And now I will let you all continue to get married and have kids. So follow me. And really it was just like another wolf in sheep's clothing. Probably even worse, actually. So that's kind of where the inspiration for that came from. And I'm trying to figure out where I can fit something like that in without being so dark. Rodents of unusual sizes. Can you imagine? Oh my God, that's like the equivalent of like, here's a penny I'm going to put in the bank. Here's a gold bar I'm going to put in the bank. I love this. Okay, and now I feel like we're in a post-apocalyptic world because we have people coming in like Kodiak style with like pelts on their back, but this is like a huge rodent that they have killed and they are bringing it in to like put in their bank. This is fantastic. Okay, I love that idea. Maybe been using chemicals to make them beefy. Okay, kind of like, the hormones we put in our chickens. Yeah. I mean, I could almost see that, like, this is a world where they were doing that, right? Because food is scarce, rodents are everywhere. Let's pump them full of hormones to make them, I don't know, healthier, beefier, whatever. And then things went wrong, and now we have all sorts of crazy mutated rodents of various sizes and abilities and just appearances. The rodents are taking over. I'm loving this. And the bank, I mean, not to get too gross, but again, is this a bank of like, well, with the hormones, I was already saying that they're beefy. We're going to eat them. So this is like a food bank. This is not a monetary bank. This is a food bank. Okay. This is interesting. Now my brain is starting to go, okay, mysterious leader, cult leader, if you will. This isn't about money. This is like, okay, folks, I'm just gonna like, I love horror. If you're on my stream, you must know that I love horror. So I'm gonna get a little gross here because my brain is going into horrific areas. I'm thinking of like post-apocalyptic world, cannibalism. There's rats. What if this mysterious leader is like, we're gonna take down the rat bank because we want to promote cannibalism? Is that where I'm going? Is that where my brain is going? Okay. Mysterious leader is imprisoned. I still haven't nailed down why he's imprisoned. And then the new leader arises out of nowhere to become the worst version of this. Fill them up, especially if they're weighing them for value. Maybe filled with toxic waste. Wow. Okay. Oh my. Now we're talking like biohazard, bioweapons. Oh my gosh, it's a bank of bioweapons. Okay. I'm going to put this mysterious leader on the back shelf because things aren't like hard forming in my brain here. So I'm going to move on to the encounter because that might help me. So I rolled for the encounter and it was combat. So is the combat, I do kind of feel like this is turning into a heist. This is a heist. I'm still trying to figure out where the leader falls into this, but if we're talking about banks and there's a combat, it's got to be a heist. They're fighting their way in or they're fighting their way out. If we're creating an adventure for our players, maybe getting in is fine. Getting out is going to be the fun part. I would almost want, if it were me, I would want my players to think that they have planned well, planned successfully, wow, getting in was so much easier than we thought. But they can't get that sense until they're way in, right? Like, you have to make it feel like there's a chance and there's risk, but they are succeeding. And that's why nothing has happened yet. You get them in deep into that bank, and then shit starts going down. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the plot. This is helping me. The mysterious leader isn't imprisoned yet. What happens is we're going to have the party do a bank. It's not going to be a bank heist. Maybe they're going in because there's someone in the bank that they need to talk to. There's another purpose, right? We could have our party do a heist. But I almost think it's maybe they've heard about there's going to be a heist. They need to stop the heist, or there have been heists. Figure out how they're doing it, please. So we're going to let them get into the bank easily. And then once they get in the bank, there's like a coup happening in that moment. The leader of the bank basically gets captured, imprisoned, whatever, and put in a hold somewhere in that bank. And the new leader comes in and is like, they are the person heisting. The new leader is the person heisting. It's like, what am I thinking of? The Keanu Reeves movie where they're doing the bank heists, and the new guy comes in and he's just like, we're taking control of this bank right now. So that's how I kind of imagining this happening, is that this heist that the new leader is doing just so happens to be when your party is already in there. Now they have to tackle this situation. And that new leader who has just come in probably starts killing people. They're taking rats or rodents. So your players have no choice but to fight their way out or fight this new leader, because they're stuck there with the situation. So I love that. Okay, so now of my things that I do when I create these, we have the setting, we have the plot, we have the encounter, we need NPCs, and we need loot. So the NPCs, obviously we're going to need that mysterious leader of the bank. We're going to need the new leader, who's going to be even worse. And then we're going to need some bank staff, who I imagine look pretty tattered if you're running a rodent bank. I'm not imagining people in suits. I'm imagining people with, like, I don't know, a patch on their eye, or like crisscrossed eyes and dirt and rags. This is interesting. We need a quest giver, right? Depending on where the party is going to start this. Or, yeah, the quest giver. So either they're going to overhear some kind of rumor come from some NPC. They're going to get some kind of information that's going to request them to go to this rodent bank. Or there's going to be some kind of a MacGuffin. Hey, you need to go to this rodent bank and talk with someone there for your next information for your next quest after this. So those are the NPCs that we're going to need. Loot. What is the loot? What are they going to get out of this? I guess depending on if anybody in the party wants rodents for various reasons. There's always that. Obviously, gold thrown their way, payment for a job well done. But I always want to try to think of something outside the box. There could be magical items that are part of the security of this bank. Things that detect, like, movement, things that detect body heat, traps that if they dismantle successfully, those magic items now become part of their inventory. They can take it with them and use it in their own time. I love that. What else? Is there a gem? I mean, there could be, depending on how you lead them in, that to draw them in could also be, well, there's this loot, maybe there's a special rat in there. Oh, someone's using the rats for, I love how I keep pulling from movies. Turner and Hooch. Someone's stuffing the rats with things that are getting smuggled from places to place. So they have to go in and find the things inside of the rats. Gems, magical items, who knows? You could totally hide a bunch of loot like that. That's awesome. All right. I love that. Let's see. What else are we got? What do we got here? Flinging toxic rodents during fire. Yes. Yes. I am just imagining the splatter explosion and just the disgust on their faces. I love that idea. Traps release mutated cats as security animals. That's kind of cool. I like that. And I think anybody would love to get a magic item where it's like, oh, you have this magic item that releases a cat for a temporary amount of time or for whatever reason. All right, so that is Ad Hoc Hooey. I think we've gone through it all, right? Yeah, we have our setting, we have our plot, we have our encounter, we have our NPCs, we have some loot, some ideas for loot. And that, my friends, was Ad Hoc Hooey in creating an adventure in, I didn't even look at the time, but I'm guessing 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes. Yes, this is not like I have a map ready and I have minis ready and I have all that stuff ready, but I have the adventure down. Grab some pencil and paper and put your imaginations to work, and you now have a session. All right. This is what I really wanted to talk about, folks. Let's talk VTTs. This is a community topic that was brought up by my VIP in the in the chat, Geeky Broken Hoodie, who asked for me to talk about kind of VTTs, what's the future of VTTs, my take on VTTs. So let's get to it, all right? What is a VTT, right? Just in case you're hearing, you're like, what? Not to be confused with a VTT file, which is like a web, I think it stands for Web Video Text Tracks, which according to like tech industry, it's like, you've probably come across a VTT file because you open a video on a website and you switch captions on and the text appears in sync with the video or the speaker. So in practical terms, it kind of tells a video player what text to show, when to show it, and sometimes like how to show it. So that is a VTT file, web file, which is similar-ish, but not quite the same to what we're going to be talking about. VTT meaning Virtual Tabletop, which is a digital platform that simulates the experience of playing tabletop. It provides all the tools. It kind of manages the characters, manages the rules of the game. There's interactive maps and dice, and it calculates all your player sheets for you, and there's a lot, and they all vary from each other, but essentially that's what it is. Imagine playing D&D in person, but now you get to play it online, and there is a platform for that, which is a virtual tabletop. So the questions that I think, when I kind of went in doing some of my research, I went in with the questions of, are VTTs replacing in-person gaming? Are they simply making it possible for more people to play? And what does the future of tabletop gaming actually look like in relation to VTTs? So now that we've kind of covered what VTTs are, I could give you a list. There's so many of them, but they are easily Googleable. Is that a word? Googleable. Googleable. There's plenty of information on them. All right. Roll20, Foundry. I'm sure there's more, but I'm not going to list them all. They all vary from each other in that some are free, some have subscription models, some will just require like a one-time payment, and then you get access to everything for the entirety of its existence. Excuse me. And then, of course, some of these are designed specifically to be compatible with certain games, like D&D, Pathfinder, Draw Steel at some point we'll have a VTT that is specifically only for draw steel. So there's so many things to consider when you're looking at VTTs as a whole. All right, various offerings that they give you, and what they do, and what they're capable of, and how much it costs you. So let's talk about some of the positives, because I feel like, again, I hate to use extremes, but I feel like on the whole, VTTs have been a huge positive for the tabletop community. With VTTs now, we have probably more than ever players who are disabled, players with chronic illnesses, players who are immunocompromised, players who are parents with young children. I remember I went through, when I had a young child, like I was still playing, but it was so much harder. And I had to get a babysitter all night because I was at the age where we were playing from like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. And then I would still have to go to work the next day. So parents with young children now have much better accessibility to playing. Military families who are moving around a lot, rural communities where they don't necessarily have a local game store or a convention around them, or even a majority of people around them. Like, there's a chance me and my husband might move to like not Minnesota. What am I thinking of? Montana, and be in the middle of nowhere. As long as I have good internet, I'm okay. But I could be in the middle of nowhere and still be able to play. International friendships. Now we can play with people from across the pond or wherever you are from. You can play with someone across continents at the same time. That was not possible before. I guess, let me say, it could have been possible if people would want to play while on the phone, right? You could call each other, be on speakerphone, be in a group call, and we could have done that. But did we? No, we did not. We did not do that. We could have. I mean, essentially, before VTTs and before like this big boom of tabletop, we were playing with pencil and paper in our imaginations. If we were lucky, we had maps. If we were lucky, we had minis. But that was where we came from. Why didn't we use phones to like play with other people? I guess because you can't just randomly call someone. You have to know someone from across the world first, right? Like, there's so many. My brain just goes wild thinking about how everything has evolved with technology. So there's a huge positive there. I mean, how many campaigns would simply never have existed without VTTs or without, the help of the internet? I can't even imagine. I don't have stats for that. Okay, but I do have a bunch of stats for later. It has done a lot for growing the hobby, right? Because, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with the internet, which is also technology, but there's easier onboarding. We have YouTube videos that show us how to play these games. We have YouTube videos to watch of people playing the games, because many people now learn by osmosis. Like, they don't actually go to read the rule book or even watch a YouTube video on how to play, but they will watch someone else play and they will learn how to play just by watching them play, right? Like, so you're growing the hobby and the interest in the hobby with all these different platforms. It's crazy. There's visual aids now that we have, and in some cases that is a very good thing. I have an argument against it as well, but I find that visuals really help me when I am a player, and that could be because, with certain DMs, the description of the location we are in is not detailed enough for my brain. I need to know exactly how wide this space is. Do we have a ceiling? You didn't say. What is the ground like? You didn't say. Are there other people around? Like, there's so many things that, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I also probably miss things when I describe it as a DM. But visuals, I think, just really help to fill in those gaps. there is also an argument to be said that visuals now become a crutch for our DMs and our players, because now they don't have to think about how to describe this thing clearly. They don't have to think about whether or not there's a log there. They just know that there's a log there. So they're not necessarily using their imaginations as much as they were before either. An argument for and against. But all in all, growing the hobby has been so much easier because of VTTs. Think about the people who video gaming is so huge right now, and that kind of hand-eye coordination and use of tech is almost like it's just secondhand knowledge now. The people who are playing now, who are, well, I mean, not me. I mean, internet was born in my era, but for other folks where all they've ever known is access to the internet and video games, and they've grown up with this. So use of that technology is so much more easier and almost probably preferred, because that is what they are used to. Hand that person a pencil and paper and say, use your imagination, and that is probably a struggle, because that is not something they have had to grow up with. So I kind of understand. Growing the hobby with character builders, I will say that of the TTRPGs that I have been exposed to, character building is probably the most difficult part of playing the game, because every game system has a different set of rules for creating your character. Once you get to playing, like, the other rules, the mechanics for, combat and things like that kind of start to feel a little more, what's the word I'm thinking of? It makes sense and easier to grasp onto the mechanics of combat or the mechanics of playing. But the mechanics of creating a character in that system are often harder. So when you have an online character builder that just tells you, yes, you can do this, no, you can't do this, that makes it so much easier and puts any question out of the mind of the player who's like, am I doing this correctly? Streaming has introduced thousands of people to RPGs. So again, other platforms, technology, helping to grow the hobby. So the question I have here then is, have VTTs actually grown tabletop gaming? Like, if you're going to put like a pro con, like, has it grown tabletop gaming or has it harmed tabletop gaming? Right now, based off of everything I've been talking about, we're talking about it has done a lot of growth. It has had a huge positive for accessibility and inclusion. But now let's talk about this other side of it, right? Could VTTs reduce convention play or in-person play? Could VTTs expose people who later, expose people to the hobby? And yes, they've come in through the door of VTTs, but now they want to explore and try in-person and conventions. Does it do that? That's the question. I don't know if I will answer it for you definitively, but there's a lot of thoughts there about how much harm and good VTTs are doing. So let's talk about the human experience. What gets lost? When you are playing online, VTTs, body language and eye contact. Yes, a lot of them, you may have a little square, with your camera on. I'm starting to notice more and more, unless you are an actual play and you're streaming for the pleasure of other viewers, people like to go camera off. They want to be able to just not put makeup on, be in their pajamas, have shit going on in their background, and still be able to play. Or we have a lot of, I will say the majority, a lot of the community, we are neurospicy. And so a lot of us may not they just don't want to be on camera. I don't want people to see me. It is distracting. It is anxiety ridden. Don't watch me do my thing. So camera off, which means that you lose body language. You lose eye contact, which you would get in an in-person game. You can communicate with your teammates with eyeballs of are we doing this thing? Are we doing a combo attack? I'm going to do my thing and then you're going to do your thing? Okay, good. Or even just body language of, hey, I am engaged in what's happening right now versus I'm on my phone and you don't even know because my camera's off or you can't see me very well. I'm not even here right now. Like, there's so many things that could be happening and you don't have that context. The attention span, as I was talking about, because if you are not in person, there's less pressure, external pressure, for you to be paying attention to what's going on. You could apply your own internal pressure, but some people just don't. They're like, well, if I'm not doing anything, I'm going to be on my phone. I'm going to check this game over here. I'm going to log into Facebook, whatever it is. That might have just aged me saying that you log into Facebook. I don't know. Shared snacks. Come on. That is part of the whole experience of in-person gaming and conventions is shared snacks. I love that about the game that I'm in. We have one guy in particular who makes a point of bringing like the weirdest stuff that he comes across throughout the week. Like weird one-off flavors of chips and candy and things, because that's just his love language to everyone. And then everyone gets to enjoy these weird snacks every single time. So that's really fun. And you kind of miss that. Or I've seen people who get together for gaming and they've done like the Heroes Feast, and they want to cook a meal for everyone, but you can't do that if you are, continents apart or time zones apart, or just playing. You could be in the same city, but if you're playing online, table chatter, kind of a good thing and a bad thing, again, depending. Excuse me. It is very easy when you are in person to just whisper to the person next to you and you're not really disturbing anyone. Can you do that online? Yes. There's ways you can like direct message and all these things. And I think the more we do these, we're getting better at it. But then, I don't know, there's a sense of community, again, when you're kind of doing it in person, that you don't get when you are online. And then the tactile experience, the clickety-clack of dropping dice, which, again, with VTTs, yes, you can use physical dice, but not everyone does. So you get the tactile experience of the physical dice, the physical maps, the tokens, the if you're using terrain, like all of it is so much, it's so much more. It's bigger than life when you are in person. And when you're online, there's, I don't want to say it's a barrier, but I will tell you from my experience that trying to set up a TTRPG in a VTT is a lot of work up front just to make sure everything is there where it needs to be, just to try to emulate a tactile experience versus, hey, we're just going to use our imaginations. Let's be on Discord and use our imaginations. I think most people don't want that. They want to emulate the in-person experience. They want all the little bells and whistles. So, oh my gosh, I have so much information here. I need to go through it faster. Automation, pros and cons, right? We get faster combat, less calculations and bookkeeping. There's easier tracking of what's happening in the game, what has happened in the game, who did what, whose turn is it, let's take notes, who got the thing, who got the magic item, all those things, much faster, much easier if you know how to use these things. I think of all of them, probably the best is Fog of War, because when you're in person, the only way to do Fog of War is if you have like black cloth, black construction paper, or post-it notes, or there's various ways I've seen people do Fog of War, but you really have to kind of get creative to work with the terrain that you have. Whereas online, it's just a simple matter of like push button, click, boom. Now you can see this area this far. For a DM's point of view, there's less schlepping of books. You have all your books in one source, which is your laptop, your computer, your phone, your online account. All your maps, all your assets, everything all in one place, which is really nice. Can you see behind me? This isn't even all my stuff, but if you see, oh, there we go. That right there, I would like to say that's all my minis, but that's not, because I can't physically keep them all in one location. There's so many, they're all different sizes. You can't see, but over here, past here, is a whole nother, let me see if I can just turn that real quick. That little black thing has more minis over there. I have minis up higher over here because they're too big to put anywhere. Like, but online, they're all the same size. They're all digital. So, you know, there's some good stuff for the automation of it. The cons is that you don't have to learn or remember all the rules. The system remembers it for you. There's like a black box of mechanics, and I do think at a certain point it kind of becomes a crutch, right? I'm gonna jump ahead here because I feel like I'm saying a lot of things that everybody already knows. But if we're gonna talk about VTTs becoming a crutch, let's talk about the internet. Let's talk about the internet for a minute. Okay. It's easy to forget that the public internet is actually really young. There are people listening to this who, like me, remember a world before email. Okay? So, I mean, yes, I just turned 47, but still relatively young in the high scope of everything. So, before Google, before social media, before smartphones, we remember that time. So, in just a couple of decades, more than a couple, but in a few decades, the internet went from this novelty thing to like a thing that we now have every day attached to our hip. We have access to it at any moment in time. That was not the case. Let's talk about smartphones. The first iPhone was released in 2007. That is less than 20 years ago. Today, many of us navigate with them, bank with them, work with them, watch movies on them, play games. We carry around more computing power in our pockets than NASA had when they did the Apollo missions. All right. So the question is, like, when's the last time you memorized someone's phone number? I don't even know my kids' phone numbers. But I can remember the phone number I had when I was growing up. My house that I was growing up. I still remember that phone number. Why? Because I had to memorize that number. But we no longer have to do that. Let's talk about GPS. So, anyone here remember MapQuest, right? Before Google Maps, if you were going anywhere that you weren't familiar, I laugh because this actually came up in a conversation and my son was like, "What? You guys actually did that?" Yeah, we had to go online. We had to I'm just talking about when GPS first showed up. We could go even further back. Let's talk about when you had like the Thomas guide in your car because you were going on a road trip, right? I don't know if anybody here remembers that, but let's talk about the first like advent of MapQuest. I'm going somewhere I don't recognize. I punch in the address. It gives me the long list of directions. I got to print those directions and then I bring them with me in the car and hope I can find my way. All right. Who here now, if you grew up in a world where you always had Google Maps, do you think that you could navigate yourself to some unknown location states away? Probably, but it will be very difficult and you will have some lessons to learn, right? So do VTTs make us better storytellers by removing obstacles like bookkeeping, or are they quietly replacing skills that we used to develop ourselves, but now we don't have to? Is it becoming a crutch? 2 questions. All right. So I'm just going to throw out a few stats because I really wanted to keep this stream a little shorter. But I just want to, this was fantastic while I was going through these. Okay. According to World Metrics, tabletop RPGs are no longer just about dice and in-person tables. 89% of players use VTTs or VTT tools. 77% lean into cross-platform play through VTT and something like Discord. Okay. That is a huge number. That kind of blew my mind. What's funny though, if we go further down in the statistics, where did it say? 76% of players prefer in-person games. I just want that to sit for a minute. So we just said 89% of players use VTTs or VTT tools. But we said 76% of players prefer in-person games. I'm trying to disseminate. Does that mean they say they prefer it, but we still use VTT? Because why? Because it's easier? Because that's the only way you can get games? Because like it's harder to find in-person games? Like I prefer in-person games. If I could, I would, but I can't. So therefore I VTT. Is that what they're saying? That was a really interesting set of stats that I came across. What was the other one? Of TTRPG publishers. This also blew my mind. 38% of publishers released 5 new titles. Oh, this was a while back, 2023. Back in 2023, 92% of these publishers plan AI integration by 2025. They all believe it's going to be AI and VTTs, whether they want to admit it or not. They're doing it. That was a big number. That's a big number, 92%. 61% of players use character sheets digitally. That was no surprise. No one wants to do the math when it comes to character sheets. I'm fairly certain. This goes back to character creation is more difficult than the playing of the game. So if you can make character creation easier, then at least there's that. At least there's that. Is that considered using VTTs? I think so. It's a VTT tool. I don't know. That's up for debate. But so 61% of players use character sheets digitally. 68% of players say TTRPGs are very important to their mental health. So again, I think that goes back to you prefer in-person games, but if you can't get an in-person game, then you're going to do what you're going to do to get the game. And if that means VTT, probably, because mental health. So, I mean, I have way many more stats I can throw out here, but I just feel like I'm going to throw numbers at you. I can drop all this information in my notes. I just thought that was fascinating and trying to figure out, what does this mean when you have this many people saying this, but then you have almost the same amount of people saying something that sounds completely opposite. All right, I'm going to go through the chat real quick because there's a lot going on. I have said a lot. I agree. I play with people all over the world versus trying to find a group locally who we can all meet at the same time. Yeah, to save time, food, children. I still prefer in-person, but I only get that at conventions. Yeah. Which is another huge reason. That is another huge reason I can't speak today. Why I push conventions. I still feel like there are so many people out there who don't yet understand what they can get from a gaming convention. And I am here to tell you all that you need to go. We did back in the day have play by mail. That sounds like so much fun. So that's like, what do we have now? What is it called? Play by post? I have yet to try that. I've had a couple of instances where it has come up and I could, but I just have so many things going on that my brain couldn't focus on it. But I love that. Oh, that's amazing. Character generators help people be able to jump into the game. Yeah. Distraction factor. You know what it is too? You know what else? I have found so I am a creative. I am creative in personality. I enjoy character creation. I actually, in some cases, enjoy that more than the actual playing. But just because I am creative does not mean that the majority of the people out there are. There are many individuals that don't necessarily have that creative gene in their body. And for them, character creation is actually very difficult. They just, at that point, they're like, just make a character for me. I don't really care what the background is. I just want to play. Like, this is hard to think of a name, let alone what they look like, what I want their powers to be or abilities. All that is hard. That is not easy for them. So I can understand why a character like creator or generator would really be helpful for those folks. Distraction factor is so much higher in VTT. Yeah. Yes. My best friend used to make food for an all-day family gaming session. I don't even know my wife's number. The only reason why I know my husband's number is because it's only the last 4 digits are different. Actually, I think it's only the last 2 digits. The last 2 digits. At Hoc Hooey. Spit that out right now. All right. So let's talk about the end state of VTTs. The ending point, the conclusion. Technology rarely asks for permission, right? It just kind of it is created. We agonize over how to use it. Is it good? Is it bad? Get rid of it, all these things. But eventually what ends up happening is it just becomes normal. And one day you look back and you're like, how did I ever live without this thing? Cell phones, right? How did we ever live without cell phones? I mean, I remember a time, but there will be some people who will like, how? How did you do that? I don't understand. What do you mean that you could only talk to one person on one line in your house? Like, what? But there's just a day where it becomes normal. Instead of talking about whether VTTs are good or bad, whether they should exist, or whether they, like I said, good, bad, have helped or not, they already exist, right? So my take that I wanted to have on this is that we should be asking ourselves, what are the things that you want to preserve and bring forth into the future with VTTs? Because they're here. I can't imagine that we're going to put that genie back in its bottle. What are the things that you want to preserve and come forth into the future, knowing that VTTs are here? What is the one thing about tabletop gaming that you would want to be in existence forever? Like, no matter how advanced technology becomes, what would that thing be? That's the question that I want everyone to take away from this and think about that. Because obviously, right? People vote with their dollar. The VTTs that are out there, if you use a VTT, support the ones that are preserving your vision and your wants and your needs for gaming. Because if we don't preserve those aspects of gaming, then one day we just might be living without it. And you don't even know how it went away. It just did. It just did. Because that's how technology seems to work. So I want to hear from all perspectives on this. I know, depending on your perspective, VTTs are the thing that pulled you into gaming, and it saved everything for you. It saved your mental health, and now you have this wonderful thing. Or VTTs could be horrible and have just ruined every aspect of, your gaming life. I don't know. But I would love to hear all aspects of how VTTs have affected you and what you would want preserved into the future of VTTs. That's about it for me. I'm at an hour, 28 minutes, folks. Okay, I've made it under an hour 30. Yay. So I'm going to wrap up here, and I'm going to be doing a writing sprint. I'm doing a lot of this today, folks. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's my dancing mood. But I'm going to wrap it up in under an hour and 30 minutes. So I only have a few seconds to say. Encouragement of the day. Think about what you want to bring into the future with VTTs or without, but what you want to bring into the future of gaming. What do you want to preserve that you never want it to go away? And I would love to hear about it. And I'm going to log off here. And then in about 5 minutes, I'm going to start my writing sprint stream. And I'm going to be working for 2 50-minute sprints because it's Friday and I have a bunch of other things to do. But I love you all. Thank you for joining me for Perty Nerdy After Hours. I am Amber M. Davies, and I will talk to you soon. Enjoy the new outro as we roll out.